Hi friends, welcome here. I'm so happy you came back. Alright, so today I was going to make a video about 5 tips on becoming vegan. I've been vegan for almost 8 years now. It'll be 8 years in October, which, I mean, it's not almost, but this year it'll be 8 years. So I figured I'd talk a little bit about my journey and then kind of segue that into the tips. So first we'll start with when I was in high school. I'd always been really interested in becoming vegetarian or vegan and the lifestyle and the idea of like not hurting animals and eating them. I remember watching a PETA video about chickens, and that was just like, oh gosh, I was like, nope, that's it, we're done. So I stopped eating meat, and I didn't know what I was doing, and my family wasn't super supportive just because I grew up in like a meat and potatoes type of family, which like most of us did. So I didn't know what I was doing, and I got really sick. So flash forward to many years later, and this whole time I had really wanted to still become vegan or vegetarian. I just like kind of just went on the back burner, but it was always in my mind. I was in my early 20s. I want to say like 21, no, maybe 22, 23. Yeah, 23. And watching YouTube and being on the internet more, veganism had kind of come back into my life in a bigger way. There's a lot of videos and information out there. I remember watching a few documentaries recommended from people on YouTube. I watched Speciesism and I watched Cowspiracy. I watched another one, but I don't remember. But those really stuck with me and kind of pushed me over the edge of being like, all right, I want to do this. Like, I want to stop messing around. And from that day on, I was vegan. And my husband went vegan a couple months after that, and he's been vegan this whole time as well. So I guess it kind of correlates into the why, which is my first tip, is to have a reason why you're vegan. My reason was the animals, and I think that's why I've stuck so long with it, because that's my driving force. Like, I don't want to hurt animals, I don't want to eat them, I don't want to contribute to any of that. And that's just like my main reason. So if you have a really solid reason why, which I feel like most people that go vegan for the animals stay vegan. Obviously there's some people that, you know, digress from that, which it's all everyone's journey. I feel like also with veganism there's just like the stigma of like being so judgmental and like harsh, and it's like we're all just trying our best. Like this might not be interesting, or this lifestyle might not interest everyone, and it's like me being rude or forceful to me in my brain is not helping anything. Like being kind and like being like, oh, like I made this, like, and it's vegan and I'm tasting it, you know, that's more of my approach. When I first went vegan, for sure I was like angry and like, how is everyone not doing this, like blah blah blah. And over the years that's kind of just calmed, because you can't force anyone to do anything, and like the harder you push, the harder they'll pull back and be like, no, like, no thank you. So yeah, that's my why. And if you find a why, I think it'll be easier for you to kind of stick with it and have that driving force, whatever that may be. And that kind of correlates into my next one, our blood tests. I had my blood tested before I went vegan, and I had high cholesterol, and I was 22 or 23 at that point. And it runs in my family, but they had told me to change my diet and work out more. So I started working out more. And around the same time is when I started becoming more interested in veganism and learning that when you go vegan or you stop eating animal products, your cholesterol will be lower because you're not eating the cholesterol from the animal products. And it has gone down. It's gone down back to a normal level. That's a huge plus. Like, it's not the reason I'm vegan, but it's definitely like a secondary, like, cool added aspect to it, I guess. So yeah, my cholesterol is lower, which is huge. And then I think it's just important to get your blood tested throughout. Like, do it before you're vegan. You shouldn't be getting it yearly anyway if you have access to be able to do that. I know obviously it's very expensive, and most of the time, you know, it's a lot. So if you have access to it, take advantage of it. Kind of monitor yourself through through your veganism and see if anything changes for the better, which hopefully, and it should. But yeah, that's my second tip. My third one is kind of brings me back to when I was in high school, and why I got sick, because animal products have so much more calories than plant-based products do. And at that point, I didn't know anything about like vegan meats or like tofu or anything like that, so I didn't have that. I was just eating like vegetables, which you can't just like cut out. Like if you have like a plate, like my mom would make us dinner, and like a plate there's like meat and then like potatoes with like butter and then like vegetables, so I just eat the vegetables, and that's like not enough to sustain a person just eating like a small side of vegetables, you know. So I just got sick because I wasn't eating enough. So you really need to kind of do your own research and see what kind of vegan diet you want to go for. If you want to go the more whole food plant-based, or if you want to go more of like the vegan meats and vegan cheeses, or you want to just like go somewhere in the middle of that. Just make sure you do your research and what feels good to you, and what, you know, what is healthiest for you and your body. Again, no judgment, just do what you need to do, you know. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. I tend to go more towards plant-based whole foods, but I'll still eat vegan treats and like meat sometimes. Like it's not this like hard line of like those things like years ago, those vegan diets. I guess they're still around, like the low carb, high fat, all those things, and only whole foods. Like I feel like that comes with so much pressure, and being vegan already can be challenging enough, just because the world isn't made for veganism or vegans, you know. Hopefully one day it will be, but right now it's not. So it's harder to access certain things, and then having to be so strict about it and making, you know, and having that extra pressure on yourself, being like, oh, well, this isn't like a whole food, or this isn't low fat, or this isn't, you know, whatever. I feel like that can add like a little bit of an extra pressure as well. But again, do what makes you feel good, and what, you know, kind of just, that's kind of, you know, all of this really is do what makes you feel good, and just take, you know, bits and pieces of what people say and kind of put it in your own life, and not have too much pressure on yourself, because I feel like that's also maybe why people stop being vegan, is because there's so much pressure from yourself and others to be in this certain box of veganism, and it doesn't have to be that way. My fourth one, I almost just talked about already, is do your research. Do research on like what foods are, another thing I'm what's the word? The thing that I do a lot of research on is how to get my not calories, but my nutrients from like the cleanest source, I guess. So I do like a lot of research on like what kind of milks I drink, and then I also do a lot of research on like what kind of nuts and stuff that I eat. And like I said, again, I will sometimes eat like vegan meats and vegan cheeses and stuff. Like there's no like guilt about doing that, or like, you know, it's not a whole food and I shouldn't eat it. I'm totally fine with that. But just kind of doing research on what's best for my body and what I need to do to feel my best. Because I think for my body, I need healthy fats and to be able to function at a normal level, you know. So I make sure that I have like nuts in my diet, and I like a lot of peanuts and cashews, and walnuts, and then I like peanut butter a lot, and avocados. So I need those in my diet to feel energized, I guess. I don't know. And my fifth tip is to find a community. I feel like this is really important, because if your family around you is not vegan, it can feel really isolating, and you can kind of get sucked into what other people say about it, and that can be really hard. I feel like if you don't have a community either online, or maybe there's like a club or something, you know, in your area that you can connect with other vegans, or maybe like a Facebook group that like meets, you know, or just like a Facebook group locally that meets together, and you guys can talk about it, or just have a sense of community, or just online. There's a lot of vegan influencers out there that I feel like have built a really good community and make each other feel supported and not full of pressure and like expectations, and just really relaxed, comfortable space for people just to feel like they're not alone. You know, I feel like it can very easily feel isolating being vegan, and like I said, the world isn't made for vegans, so it can be hard to try to navigate that, especially if your family doesn't support it or doesn't understand it. Having people behind you that, you know, are supporting you and understand where you're coming from, I think is really huge in this journey. So yeah, I'm thankful that I have my husband and he's vegan. That's made a big difference. I feel like people that have partners that are not vegan have a harder time because they, you know, their partner either doesn't agree with it or doesn't support it, or just is like, you know, I'm gonna eat animal products, and that's, you know, you can do whatever you need to do. You know, but yeah, I think that makes it a lot easier for me. And all my family, most of them are very supportive, and I've been vegan for so long, it's not really like a, you know, they don't, it's not a second really thought for them to support me and whatnot. But yeah, I think all those tips hopefully will maybe help you kind of either be vegan or stay vegan, or just, I don't know, just some information on the lifestyle, I guess. This is like a very quick snippet into veganism and my journey and whatnot, but I hope that this is helpful to somebody. And yeah, I can make more vegan content as well, you know. I have a lot of information about it for being vegan for 8 years, and I feel like there's not a lot of vegans that are not laid back, but just like not so hardcore. I feel like that can just be really overwhelming and intimidating. I don't know. So hopefully someone likes this video, or like I said, get something out of it. So yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble about veganism. Yeah, all right, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.